and where you live, you have to realize that it truly is a bubble, and that's it. Your reality, everything you know to be true, your etiquette, your rules, the way your community functions, is only, for the most part, truth within your bubble. But there are many bubbles. I grew up in New Jersey, right outside of New York City, a very urban, lower middle class area. I grew up with this mentality that because I was from New York City, Jersey, we were better than other people. We were faster, we were quicker, we were more slick. And we just felt like we were on top. And I feel like that mentality kept me kind of poor-minded. You're an opportunist. You're trying to figure out how you can get the thing quicker than the next person can get the thing. You're living in a famine kind of lifestyle. I left to Colorado. It seemed like a very healing kind of place, very natural. The mountains were just like, wow. When I seen a picture of it online, I was like, I've never seen mountains before. You know, I've been around skyscrapers. You know, I lived next to one of like the dirtiest rivers in the country. Passaic River was literally at the corner of my block. Like, you just see like oil spills just like slowly fucking floating across with all types of shit. I remember fishing in that river as a kid, or trying to fish, right? With some Fisher Price Kmart style, like booty ass fishing pole, right? Some cheap shit. Thinking that's what fishing is. And you know, pulling out hypodermic needles and bottles and all types of just weird shit. Never caught a fish. That's the bubble I was in, and that was the bubble that I thought was normal. I thought that's what all of the world, without thinking it through, was just like they thought like me, they acted like me, and anybody that didn't, I would hate on. Colorado, 180 degree, total difference, right? So now, men that were disciplined, trained to focus and execute. I was raised without a father. I was raised by women. I learned to be slick. I learned to be cute. You know what I mean? I didn't learn how to lead. I didn't learn how to execute and get the job done proper. I learned how to be overly emotional. I didn't learn how to put my emotions in check. So moving to Colorado and being surrounded within this bubble of other types of people, these outdoor enthusiasts that like everybody's ripped, everybody's in shape. 80-year-old men and women climbing mountains, you know? Colorado was just this, it seemed like a playground for adults, right? Like people were genuinely happy, smiling, start conversation with you. The sun is out 300 days plus a year. You just feel good. You work and then you go out and play. Snow comes down, it's not like, oh no, let's stay inside. It's like, shit, oh no, we need to get out in the snow and fuck around and play in it. Biking, rock climbing, hiking, fly fishing, kayaking, whitewater rafting. Like, when you're out there, you live in this snow globe and the stars are so vast and the sky is so big and just goes forever. I went on a snowmobiling trip, and then it hit me at the end. I'm like, this tour guide, like, I went up to him, I was like, this is what you do for a living full time? And he's like, yeah, I do this during the winter, and during the summer, I'm a rafting guide, whitewater rafting. And I was like, that's it. You just take people out on epic trips, having a ton of fun, fucking around, getting paid decent, and then getting $100 tips on top of it. He's like, yeah, man. Like, it was some normal shit. To me, I was like, what? Like, it just, like a light bulb went off in my head. Like, everything I knew up until then, until 27 years old, was like, you need to get in a suit, you need to go out, you need to bust your ass, you gotta do construction, you gotta work up. You don't go to the military. Military's for losers. You gotta go to the 4-year college, you gotta get that degree, and then you gotta get that job. You know what I mean? Like, all these things, like, it was such a high volume of humans that we were more in touch with the energy of people, right? You're feeling people's energy, dipping and weaving around it, right? You know how to, that's like, they say like you're from the Northeast, you're from New York City, like you're more slick, you got more street smarts. Obviously, because you're on the street, right? And you can feel people's intentions quick. They don't have to say anything. Just the way they move, quick, 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 boom, 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 boom. We're out in Colorado, it was like, no, you're in touch with nature. You're not worried about this guy or that guy or this chick or whatever. Like, you're in tune with the energies of nature. The mountains, the soil, the sun, the snow. And then also the weather is so crazy out there. And it's 1 second it can be sunny and beautiful, and then all of a sudden you got hail coming down like fucking softballs. So you always have to be prepped and have some kind of survival skills about you, because if you're just out driving somewhere, like, you need a survival kit, because some shit can go down, you have no service, you gotta figure it out, right? I didn't have those skills. I had skills of, like, I could figure it out in the city. I knew every neighbor's backyard, in and out, how to get into basements, shortcuts between railroads, the whole night, banging around, like robbing somebody here and be able to stash it in a hole somewhere in like a lot, go under a railroad next to some heroin addicts, and then fucking be able to dip through a broken fence, slide down a fucking hill, boom, into a neighbor's basement. I knew how to jump onto one person's roof, and what roof I could jump from that roof to the next roof to slide down the fucking ladder to go somewhere, you know what I mean? Like alleys. That's what I knew. So learning to be natural was like a whole different bubble. And everything that I knew from age 0 to 27 went out the door. Like, yeah, I was able to dip and weave around people in Colorado like way easier than they could, quicker. It can get you far, but the quality of life, you don't have to do that. So then leaving that bubble and then going to Southern California to a whole nother bubble. Now we're talking every house on every block is a minimum 2.5 million, right? Like, it's just what it is. Supercars everywhere. The inauthenticity that's happening there. Their etiquette is different. The way they perceive people, there's a lot more judgment. It's run by monetary status, and people are faking the funk to fit in. It's a whole nother bubble. It's a whole nother set of survival skills, right? Living there, you think, oh no, I need the Botox, I need this kind of car, won't. But that's just in that bubble. But if you leave that bubble, you can leave a lot of those anxieties. What I learned after living out there for 4 years is actually a lot of that wealth is generational, and it was just passed down by grandparents, great-grandparents. And now you've got a generation that's a little older than me running around with way too much money, and they're miserable. They're hooked on pills, they're getting drunk every night, and just eating tacos. Like tacos to these people out there is like the mecca of food. They're just in a bubble, and that's it. I'm in South Carolina currently, right? It's a whole nother bubble. This is the Bible Belt. Like, there's churches, literally 2 churches on every block. Every intersection you go, there's a church and another church. I can't imagine growing up here and thinking that's what the world is. It's just this deliverance. You gotta get the fucking spirits out, you know? The devils are in you, and there's a sense of fear in the air. Driving around, you see how poor it is, right? Slave trades and stuff, that's crazy. A lot of that history still kind of lingering. The economy of church and religion. I guarantee you a lot of these pastors down here, I don't know what you call them. I don't know what the religion is, Baptist or whatnot. I'm sure they're driving around in some nice cars and they got some big, nice homes, you know? Pull up on the side of the road, the only food you can get is boiled peanuts. Personally, it's the grossest thing I've ever had in my life. It's like eating like a slug or something. I don't know, it's gross. But it's the thing, you know what I mean? Bubbles. What I'm trying to say is, don't get caught up in the reality of your specific bubble. Know that there are infinite realities out there. And the more bubbles that you can experience, then you can start to see patterns and what's alike and what's different between the bubbles. And then maybe you can start to make decisions from a more of an elevated position, looking down on the bubbles and using all the data from different bubbles together to now say, okay, I'm gonna pivot this way in life. This is what I want. These are the opportunities that are actually available in the world versus just in that bubble. I think when people say travel, it's super key because you get to see other cultures and bubbles. All that bad that's in your life, little environment, it's just make-believe. That reality that's so strong that, you know, that's the roof you see, that's the ceiling. You could break through that bubble, through that ceiling, and there's so much more.